Welcome back to Learning the Hard Way. My name is Ollie and this is episode number 50. That feels pretty amazing to say, so if you've been here from the beginning, thank you so much. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you're enjoying it. This week, I have made the decision to cut some of the assets we were thinking about last week, so it's good to see them gone. We've got new members of the team joining, including a new videographer, and we're kicking off the week at our site over in Godling. We are over in Godling, so catching up with one of the hardwood build teams with one of our projects as I'm on my way to Guildford for the sort of networking lunch that I'm heading to. This is on the way, so yeah, it made sense to come and stop and check in, and it's, as you know, a very beautiful place to be up here. It's very peaceful. Not only can we, of course, check in on how the build team's going, but we can also have a look at Jay's maintenance work and see how that's going. Really looking forward to the summer here when all of his work blooms, blossoms, does its thing, paired with all the new hard landscaping that we've done that joins all of those soft landscape areas together. So yeah, it's going to be a special one and a great example of trusting the process. Not everything needs to be done at once, and you can commission us or an equivalent to do a phase 1 and then some soft landscaping work and then a phase 2, and so long as we understand what the overall and the end goal is, we can split that up into manageable chunks, which is what we've done here. When we finished, this will be a great example of that. Coping stones are on a lot of the wall now, which really helps it all come together. I mean, we can see this section here that the guys are pretty much finished. Obviously still needs to be pointed and grouted, but looks great. The sections of the wall that are obviously currently bare blockwork are the areas that we are cladding. It just breaks it all up a bit, because obviously you've got to bear in mind that this little gap here is also going to be paved. So if it paves and then wraps up, what you've got what we want to avoid is just too much of the same material in one area. So it seemed like a really good way of breaking everything up. I don't know how well you're going to see it on the camera, but a lot of these, so the soffits along here, all this old timber is pretty rotten. So they've actually got a carpenter that they already use who's going to be replacing all of those. And we've decided to stop our cladding here because he's also going to be replacing these doors. So it just means that they can tie that timber, well, they're actually using a composite alternative, into all of this, which will then finish nicely up against our paving. So that's why we've stopped there, in case you're wondering. Now you know. Super happy with everything here. The guys are doing a really good job, and most importantly, the site is nice and clean, tidy, organised. We are very much in what feels like the last stages now, which is great. So the only thing that we are then waiting for is the stone to turn up for those little feature panels, and then that will be pretty much it. Oh, of course, lighting. We have got a lighting scheme going in as well. So during that stage of the project, we'll put all the infrastructure underground, so all of the conduits, etc., to accommodate the lighting scheme. But normally we put it in right at the end when everything's sort of clean and tidy. So looking forward to that. Good morning. We are at Hardwood HQ, and my morning so far has been rushing around, just sorting things out for people and meetings and delegating and all the fun stuff that I seem to spend my entire life doing. We've had a couple of good offers on our skid steer. I actually managed to get a couple of dealers up a few grand on their offers, which is amazing. Always feels very good when you get away with that, because yeah, they can be a bit of a pain to deal with. We have got some potential private customers also interested, so I'm just going to pull it out now and send them some more videos of it, some videos of it running and working, etc., so they can see that it's all as it should be, and hopefully by the end of the day I would have said yes or no to any of them. I've also been driving around this morning in Matt's van. As you know, a couple of weeks ago it was driven into, so went to get it cleaned and then took it to a couple of local body shops to us for them to quote the repairs. So we've got 2 quotes now to give to the lady who drove into it, so she can choose who she wants to go ahead with, and we can also get the ball rolling with getting that repaired. But what is much more exciting than me waffling at the yards is we're going to take you over now to see our maintenance team and Jay working. It's actually over at our Godling project again. So we're going to go catch up with them there. Maintenance team haven't featured in the vlogs this year. They are still here, they are still going, they're still doing great things, but we just haven't had the videographer capacity. So I haven't been able to follow them around, but we can now. So let's go and see how they're getting on.
Morning, I'm grieving. So a lot of you have known that Sam's been working with me for the last 4 or 5 months, and I've been mentoring him. We've been getting on really well. Unfortunately, Sam's had to go off for an operation. We knew this was going to be happening, so it was planned. It's one of the reasons he came over to maintenance and joined myself. Unfortunately, he will be off work for up to 4, maybe 5 months. And so for me, it feels like I've suddenly lost my other arm. It's my first day back without him now. And so it's a bit of a shock to the system not to have the laughter and whatever as I'm driving the van away from the yard. But we know it's for his own good. He knows it's for his own good, and he also knows there's a job here when he gets back. Everybody wants to wish him the best. Sam, best of luck. But alongside grieving, I'm also at our Godling job, and I'm currently looking at a flower bed here that I am aiming to replant. The aim now is to inject a bit of colour, because we've got a white building, we've got white flowers, all very minimal. And so we want to add just a little spike of colour, which should really pop against the amount of white that we've got in this bed. So I think that would be really fantastic. First job is just counting how many I need and working out roughly where they're going to go. I can send this picture to the client can then see what I'm thinking rather than me just explaining crazy things in my head. And it gives the client a much better idea of what I'm thinking. So I'm just putting some dots on, and what I'm going to do is, instead of having just blocks of and a little bit random, we've got this whole terrace area, and so I'm kind of going to flow them through the beds to finish here, so that then all of the beds join each other rather than feeling like separated little areas. It all becomes one. That's the crazy plan anyway.
We've made it to Thursday, and so far I haven't done any vlogging, but it has been a very busy day. Our skid steer has now been sold. I have accepted an offer on it. Pretty happy with it, actually. We're out of the finance agreement. We weren't in negative equity, so we've got some cash in the bank as well. So it feels like a pretty good position to be in. I've now got the nightmare job of trying to get these stickers off, and it's pretty cold in here, so I have commandeered my wife's hairdryer because our heat gun is out on site with Andy doing the electrics. So we'll see if we can melt some of this glue and get it off later, because obviously we don't want it branded. We have sold stuff in the past and then seen it about 6 months down the line driving past, still sign written, and that's not good. Our big digger, is big in relation to us and what we do. We've had some good offers on it, and there is actually somebody coming over to see it this evening. So potentially a pretty successful week. I was sort of hoping to get at least one of them agreed by the end of the week, so maybe halfway through the week, and we've done both, which is great, and certainly is going to feel like a bit of pressure off. It's also going to make our yard space feel much bigger. Over in the office, Jay, our maintenance Jay, not videographer Jay, has been working pretty hard on quoting today. He's just been to see a new job, which was about a 4-hour survey for him, and that is all to implement one flower bed. So you can get the idea of how big it's going to be. Fingers crossed we get the job. We have been recommended by another smaller gardening company who it was just a little bit too much for them, and Jay's experience and qualifications mean that he's pretty well placed to quote and specify something like that. So that should be a really good thing for us to get in for spring. The maintenance routines and sort of what we regularly do through the summer months obviously slow down a little bit in the winter, but that doesn't mean we're any less busy. It's a real focus on planting and mulching and splitting, dividing throughout the beds to get the gardens looking as good as they can for the next summer.
The flower bed that Ollie spoke about a little bit, it's about 6, maybe 7 times the spatial area of this office, so it's a huge flower bed. And what it is really, what I've done is consult and design at the same time for this client. And because this particular client needed visual cues, they needed to see what was going on rather than 2D pictures, I actually took a whole couple of cans of spray paint with me and I sprayed out a whole new bed, and I explained to them what was going on. By me being excited, they understood that I wasn't just there quoting for a job. I was actually there because I wanted to see this look really, really cool. In terms of plant numbers, we're talking into the thousands of plants, so it is a huge bed. So I think that's going to be a really exciting project. The client is really excited. I mean, she's uber excited. Hoping to start that one in 2 weeks' time. So we'll get some before shots, after shots, and if you're really lucky, we'll do some in between shots and get some time lapsing going on. But I'll leave that to the camera guys.
Good morning. It is a bright and early start to Thursday. As you can see, made some pretty good progress on the stickers on this Bobcat, and the one behind me sold last night. It's being picked up today. Hopefully, all being well. I have just sent them a photo of the only damage which is on the machine. It's a little dent in that front corner, and believe it or not, that happened on the very first day, within the first hour of owning that machine. I wasn't driving it, it was one of the guys pulling out a tree stump, so yeah, obviously a fairly frustrating time. I'm here at the yard nice and early. The reason being is I'm driving Penelope over to Scania Gatwick. Eagle-eyed of you will know that she's not a Scania and is in fact a Volvo, but service contractor at Scania Gatwick for this truck, and because we've changed the registration, we are booked in to go and get the tachograph, so the digital machine in there that reads or whoever's driving it, who reads their driver's card, we're going to get that changed over and updated to the new registration. So first thing for me, while it's running and warming up, is just going around with my defect sheet, checking everything on the truck, making sure we're all good to head out on the road. We're heading back over to Godling now, where the guys are making fantastic progress and the paving is flying down. It's really good seeing the Hardwood teams working so independently and making such good progress. Note to Andy though, may be worth putting the stabilisers back on your bike.
I had a little fight with a cat over the weekend and it won. No, I didn't. I came off my bike again, so might be time to retire from the biking world, but yeah, I'm fine. Just my pride has been dented massively, but there we are. Back here in Godling, had a morning on site, which has been good. More progress made. We're sort of in probably the last week to 2 weeks of this project now. I'm going to really try and wrap it up, mainly this week if we can, with the paving. We have finished the cladding on the wall. We've only got the natural stone to go on now, but we're waiting for that to be delivered from All Green. We're getting our ACO drains in, which is obviously taking all our water runoff. So we're getting all our ACO drains in, and which means we can basically wrap up all sort of hands on deck on jumping on the paving. It's been a bit of a slow burn, obviously with Christmas in the middle of it, having 2 weeks off sort of thing. Always feels like that project's been like kind of like stretched out a bit, but no, definitely progress is good. Yeah, clients are happy, looking nice. It's really tying in with the rest of the build, which we did last summer. So yeah, we are all happy.
Good afternoon. We have made it a little bit further into Thursday, and what a horrible turn in the weather. I think we're due another storm this weekend. I don't know whether it's the fact that they've now named them, but it does seem to be ridiculously frequent. And this weather, as I'm sure you can probably imagine, isn't conducive for productivity on landscaping sites. Whilst the guys can and will crack on, things are just going to be a bit slow and get pretty messy, which is a real shame. I'm on my way over to a new project now. I'm going to meet our good friend Adam Vetra at another one that he would like us to build for him. This is one that us as the contractor are going to be taking a bit of a lead on. So looking forward to it. It's nice and local to us. There's a chance, if the rain doesn't get too heavy, we're actually going to take him over to another one of our projects that we're wrapping up for him to just have a look at and see what he thinks. Always good for him to see the work that we're doing, especially whilst he's recommending us to his clients. On the topic of working for designers, we have just won another one, which I'm really excited about because it's for Karen McClure, and Why is my car beeping at me? I mean, what's wrong? Strange. I think it's because, anyway, sorry, very annoying. Modern cars, they just don't shut up. We've won a new job for Karen McClure, which is particularly exciting because I've spent an awful long time, and she will verify this, as will her team, nurturing that relationship. I think I first went down there with a pack of biscuits probably a couple of years ago. We have since quoted a couple for her that haven't gone our way, but pleased to say our first one for that team is in the bag, and it's largely centered around a big wildflower meadow, which, if you know me, you'll know is one of my favorite things to install. Anyway, we're going to be taking you now down to our Lewis project, where we've got Berry Hill delivering some of our specialist soils that we love using, or some of their specialist soils, should I say, that we love using so much on our jobs. We're filling up some planting borders so they have specified exactly what we need. Let's go catch up with the team on site, see how progress is going, and see if we can catch that offload on camera.
Yeah, good day so far today. Weather's been a little bit hit and miss, so we had a good productive morning digging over the beds in preparation for the soil, and then we had a downpour and some high winds that slowed us down somewhat. Obviously with soil works, the wetter it gets, the more difficult it becomes to keep walking around, because you're sometimes doing more harm than good compacting the soil. It's dried up now, winds died down and it's cleared up. We've had our soil delivery, which was interesting to say the least. It was big truck from Berry Hill, and we had about a few mil clearance either side of the posts to get him in. So it took a bit of manoeuvring and a few attempts, but we got there in the end. So thank you to the driver from Berry Hill for having a really good go at it. Yeah, it wasn't an easy one. Since you were last here, I think a lot of the structures come up with the metal edging. A bit hard to see at the moment with all the boards all over the place, but we're trying to minimise compaction of the soil. But yeah, it's really starting to take shape. Designers have been down a few times and are really happy with the progress, and they give a lot of input, so that's obviously really helpful from our point of view. So it's all going really well, enjoying it.
It's Friday and we are in the yard. And it feels great to have made it to the end of the week. This week certainly feels like it's been a bit of a slog. I'm pretty knackered and I've done some seriously long days in front of a screen. There's so much going on behind the scenes that I wish I could share. We are sharing as much as we can. Hopefully you've sort of got a good idea as to what's going on. We're always going to be as transparent as we can. In the yard today, you can see we've got Jay's van, that's open. I think he's sort of showing off a bit of kit. I've seen him walking around with a couple of potential new maintenance recruits, so he's been showing them the yards. I don't know who they are or what they're doing. It's delegated entirely to him, which is absolutely fantastic. Why would I be the one to recruit maintenance staff when that's his thing? You will also see, parked out here, ready to go, sale confirmed, our Bobcat. We've been let down by 2 lorries today. We had a delivery of materials coming into the yard due at 8 a.m, never showed up. They phoned at about 11 and said the driver didn't turn up. This was meant to be picked up also at 8 a.m, and the driver never turned up. They're now coming at 5 p.m, so hopefully it still goes today. So yeah, look at all this room, all this space for so many activities. The question is, what are we going to fill it up with next? I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that new kit isn't going to be just round the corner, but I'm enjoying being in a slightly more refined position Going into 2025 with Hardwood's liabilities, certainly taking as much pressure off the company as we can feels like a good and a sensible move. And that's it. 50 episodes of Learning the Hard Way have gone out on YouTube, and I've really enjoyed every single one of them. It's 50 weeks. You've seen our teams grow, some of our assets shrink, but business has been pushing forward and we've been as transparent as we can be throughout. I cannot wait to show you the next 50 episodes. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.